Did you get the Zoom link to Boris already? Or you want me to give it to him? Oh.
Hey, everybody, this is John Wolpert, and the Baseline show will be starting shortly. We're remote from Atlanta, Georgia right now, and I don't have my normal streaming rig here. So instead of listening to awesome tunes and seeing a screen, you'll have to watch us get set up while we're getting ready here. So stay tuned. We'll be live in a few minutes, and maybe my friend Nick Kritikos can regale you with his beautiful singing voice while we
I am definitely not singing.
All right.
Unless you want to be levitating. I love that Dua Lipa stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, here
All
comes
right.
the crew. We're starting to shape up.
All right.
And we're already on the stream. So just a heads up to you guys.
Yep, we're already live.
So we don't want to say things like, oh,
Yeah, we don't want to say anything like
Yeah, exactly.
that. All right. Let me do some.
Did you want to make me co-host so I can let people in?
Yeah, we'll do that. Again, anybody tuning in on YouTube, we're not really started yet. And for whatever reason, all of this will live on while we prep.
Pull down your jacket and back.
Awesome. New look. Are you sitting in one studio?
Yeah,
There's
we're in
Kyle.
a fancy podcasting
Ah.
studio.
Jack is
Hello.
What's up, everybody?
Hello.
You guys got yourself some 6 studios there in Atlanta. Wish I was there, young. I miss you.
Hello, everyone.
Address.
Hey,
good, John.
All right.
Now we're unmuted.
I think we're unmuted.
I
I don't
don't have
any
any fancy music on this
rig
rig here, so.
Whoops.
Somebody is.
That was me.
That's
I
you.
accidentally
You're
hit the wrong button. My bad.
No worries. Yeah, everybody in the studio here, keep your audio off, and we're streaming through this. So so everybody, let's make believe like we have music starting, and we'll all start again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Baseline.
Baseline. Baseline. Hi, everybody. This is John Wolpert. We're here at the Baseline Protocol office hours. We call the Baseline Show. It's good to see everybody here. It's a big crowd today. And yeah, kill your audio there, buddy.
Thank you.
And we have Kyle Thomas here in our fancy podcasting office here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hotlanta.
Are we getting funding from the Georgia Peach Film Commission? We should probably.
yeah, we should probably.
They're a
look
big
into
deal.
that, sure.
Yeah, so it's good to see everybody here today. We're going to be there's lots of announcements really just rolling in thunder over the remainder of this year. If you're ever going to be involved with Baseline Protocol, this is the time to do it and to get involved. Big companies, little companies, startups, there's going to be lots of opportunities, and really imminently you'll be able to not have to be a systems developer to understand or deal with the protocol, and you'll be able to hit that easy button and and start working with the protocol productively in a satisfying way. I think that's what everybody in standards and in open source, they wait for that day when normal developers can just grab and go and do cool things. And that's really what the name of the game is between now and the end of the year and into the new year as we promulgate the standard. All right, who we got here? We've got Ty Colbert, we got Samrat Kishore, we got Lauren Gibson, Boris Breslov, Mark Hattel, Andreas Freund, Lucas Rodriguez, Luis Suarez, Kyle Thomas, Jack Leahy, and Nick Kritikos, my partner in crime. It's good to see you all. And it looks like checking the Zoom, we're already getting some numbers in Zoom. So, or on YouTube.
Yep.
So, hey guys, what do we want to talk about today? I know there's lots that will be coming up in coming weeks. But what have we got? I don't think I mind saying that we had a really great session hanging out with Kyle and team in Austin or in Atlanta this week, and we got a lot of work done. I don't mind saying that our team, our technical team and our business team, kind of looked under the hood of some of the stuff that Kyle's team's working on and found it worthy.
Very impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So
It's been a great week.
Yeah, absolutely.
on the agenda today as well, we'll be talking with Boris Breslov more about their recent grant award and the work they've been doing in Zero Knowledge. And if anybody else wants to chime in with news and information, we're here to talk.
John, should we
and
not-
As always. Yeah, go ahead.
John, should we not talk about the two grant proposals that are currently in the voting process? Reminder to everyone who's on the TSC, vote, 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 vote.
Yes, and that's and Andreas, maybe you can talk us through those a little bit later.
Sure.
2022 being the year of the dead, these two projects that Andreas is talking about that are up for funding with our grant program that we're voting on now have to do with bringing decentralized identities easily into the baseline framework. Okay, so with that, Boris, I know you wanted to get some serious time. So we'll give you a first shot, and then Kyle and Jack and team, you guys might want to pick it up, and then we can talk about what Andreas brought up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
Fire
so
away.
we
Boris.
yeah yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So okay, it might be to a certain degree a repeat to some people that that we've done it, but I think we'll have a little more time. So if there are other questions, since we all talked about it, please do. And I'm not sharing anything at this point, but I'll share in a minute. Okay, so basically our grant was about like building zero knowledge circuits in GNARC, and we focused on the financial circuit. That was kind of like that's what we wanted to do, and we thought would be kind of new that that we don't think anyone has done it yet or tried it. So we were looking at basically corporate bonds, and we said, can we build a circuit for a corporate bond, basically for a request for quote process, where initiating party is looking to buy a bond, and they're saying, here is a request for quote, and we wanted to make sure that the quotes are not visible, not available to the different counterparties that respond. And so we, like what we built only for 3 counterparties, but that can be definitely extended to many more or less, depending on kind of like where the process is or how the process needs to be built. We realize it's a very small piece only in the whole financial industry, that request for quote, but we thought zero knowledge here would be very appropriate, because that's how kind of like quotes are being dealt with today in many cases, often sometimes even over the phone. So there is definitely quite a bit of automation here. So I would like to share now. We have a diagram. Do I
When I
just
was
do?
at Microsoft, as you bring that up, when I was at
Sure.
Microsoft, there was a lot of work in CPQ, and, request for quote, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
using chatbots as well. So, I mean, that even lends itself to more automation. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, there are very many different tools depending on types of instruments that are being used for RFQ, like TradeWeb, and there are probably like a half a dozen environments that do it in the financial industry, and RFQ is always a piece of it.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's maybe it's a piece of functionality inside a larger tool, but it's definitely. So I can do just a share screen, I guess. Okay, it says it's
Yeah, I
disabled.
think so. Somebody on YouTube should, we'll have to double check that it's actually, we're on a
I
different,
got
oh,
the
good.
YouTube up. So
Oh, no, it
It should
says,
work. Go ahead.
oh, yeah, but it says host disabled participant
Oh, I'll
screen
fix that
sharing.
for you.
Thanks.
Fix that for you.
Okay, and we'll do a few things. Luis is here, so I will kind of do a high level overview, and then Luis obviously is going to get us into code don't lie. He's going to walk through the code, and we'll get into that.
Oh, man, I can't do the stinger from here. I don't have my deck with me. I can't do the code
Okay.
don't lie stinger. So
Oh, okay. So can you see my screen?
I see it on Zoom.
yeah, we're
It's
good.
coming through it's on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so this is also it's a sequence diagram, but it's high level, and it illustrates the code is obviously a lot more detailed, but that's what, for the most part, that's what the code does. And Luis will take us into quite a bit more detail. So we have an initiating party often it's a bank, and the other side of it is typically it's an insurance company that is sitting on the other side, and that's why I think we picked. So we have HSBC as an example, just as an example. The other side is like AIG, MetLife, and also C is a Citibank, which could be. So basically, HSBC is doing a request for code bid, and it's a specific bond, and it knows that it probably in the scenario that it would like to do that bid with a specific list of counterparties, basically responders. It sends the bid out. It gets back three quotes. What it does, it selects one specific quote, in this case AIG, and it takes that quote and basically it with that quote it creates a zero knowledge proof that it includes all three quotes, including the quotes that did not win or were not accepted for this bid. And basically what it does, it puts that right here, it does the baselining, and it puts those, and these quotes basically will be available on the blockchain. The parties in this scenario, they know of each other, but they don't know what the quotes were. And they can only know which are like their own quotes. They can't really see what the other quotes are. And that's and based on current regulatory environment, like 15 minutes after the quotes were baselined, or basically after the trade was completed, you have to make the quote available to the public. Currently, the process is, in most cases, the initiator puts it out there publicly. So we didn't code this. I mean, obviously, it can be probably done very well. I don't actually, in a blockchain, you could make it public, but typically that quote is being added, that information and it's not just a quote, it's a lot of details about the trade itself is being made available on the trace, which is basically a trace of all the corporate bonds that have been traded. And this, I think the responsibility it is of the initiator to do that. And they just put it out to the trace or provide it to a vendor that does it for them. So that's, any questions on that before we get into code?
No, this is great, Boris. I guess one question is, where do you see it going from here? I mean, what do you want what do you think the next step is?
What,
There's
what,
obviously, the
yeah.
idea of bonds on the blockchain is something that a variety of banks and organizations
Right.
have been looking at
Yeah.
heavily, and they often run into the same old problem, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
put my bond in a digital nudist colony.
Yeah.
This kind of addresses that. How do we
Yeah.
get that? I mean, I'm thinking about things like guys like John Whalen from Santander, probably be pretty interested in this sort of thing,
Yeah.
and others.
Yeah, this
we-
is just taking the bond creation process and doing it in a way that's private and secure and leverages public infrastructure. Not actually the
Without
bonds
giving away
itself.
information. to the
That's
public.
right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, we are, the next step we were going to, initially we just did vanilla bonds, which are the most basic bond. And we are enhancing right now to process like exotic bonds, like callable bonds, puttable bonds, slightly more complicated. And what we did realize recently that basically almost the same infrastructure can be used for that. What we built, it's probably going to work for any other bond because it's,
I'm familiar.
yeah,
Yeah,
so that's kind of like we didn't realize it at first, but we spent some time with Luis and Amal looking at it, and we says that we think we're running some test cases now to confirm that actually it's going to work. So that's a good thing. We also, and Luis, you can probably talk a little more about that. There was some we're making the verification, the provider, like adding some logic there. So that's, but I think what we can do, we could enhance it a bit and try using it for other products, financial products. I think that's what I would like to consider, that can we, because I mean, there are derivatives, I don't know, interest, I'm not that familiar with interest rate derivatives, but credit derivatives potentially, or other products that potentially we can use and extend it to. That's kind of like my thought at this point is. Yeah. Okay, so
Definitely.
yeah, so if there is
Yeah,
nothing, if there is nothing else, then Luis, I'll stop sharing. You okay to start sharing the code?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay.
Should we do the code don't lie?
Yeah, we don't have the stinger. Really. Go, don't lie.
I mean,
There it was.
Oh, it's
Oh,
disabled.
it's disabled. Oh, maybe John, I
You
think
need
maybe
to enable.
enable
Luis.
I'm
Luis.
working on it. I'm
Okay.
working. Well, I had the important thing was I did the code don't lie stinger, and now I will
Yes,
enable.
yes, yeah.
You have to have priorities in this business. It's really important.
Well, when I'm like tap dancing over here and saying code don't lie, that's when you're supposed to be doing the administrative stuff, the operational
Teamwork.
stuff.
Yeah, teamwork
Yes.
is also important.
Yes.
Somebody writing code.
Writing code. Yes, exactly.
Code don't matter. No.
All right,
no.
Luis is on. Screen is shared.
Good.
Fire
So
away.
I sent the repo that we worked on GitHub, the code, and on the YouTube chat, so other people can check it later. So the secret the code was basically divided in two files. We have one test file, and the other one it's where we developed the secret. And the secret is also basically dividing in two blocks, where we describe the parameters that the secret is going to receive, to get, and we have a part that is public, okay, and another one that is private. And the other part of the secret is just it's where it has the logic of the secret. So the first
Hey, Luis,
part,
just to interrupt you for a second, can you
Yes.
amp your font, just in case the YouTube is not quite
Just to make
as
it
high
easier
enough
to read.
fidelity. Yeah. Depends on how
sorry,
people
John,
are
I
getting
didn't-
this encoded. If it's not super sharp.
Enlarge it if you can enlarge I'm not sure if you can enlarge. because-
okay.
Oh yeah,
It looks
yeah,
good
that's
on my
much better.
screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, but now on my little
yeah, it
phone,
looks
I
so.
can actually-
Yeah, it looks also fine when you. Yeah,
Perfect.
great.
Nicely done. Thank you.
Awesome.
So here we have the what is public that you are going to use to prove something, and what is private. It's where here is the bank that is going to generate the proven key, and I will. So here we are going to have we need the public key from the counterparties 1, 2, and 3, who is going to send codes. And we have the accept quote value, and also it is signed, this value. So who sent this quote knows for sure that it is the value that he sent. And we have also an ID of the bond here. So this secret is going to be valid only for a specific bond. And we have what is private. It's only the initiator, it knows, and because he gets the values, the codes, and the signatures, and then with these values he is going to be able to create the secret and generate the proven key that other users can use it, the key to prove their secret. And what is required for the secret is the codes must be signed by counterparty 1, 2, and 3, and also the signature is going to, you have to sign the value and also the bond ID, which is going to be a hash of the bond parameters. And we have inside the secret, we have the accept quote. It's a value, only a number. So when the counterparty that sent the accept quote, the winner quote, is able to verify the secret and knows that he has the accept quote. And yeah, so, and the secret here to make sure that what the secret does is to make sure that accept quote, the first part of the secret, is that the value is greater than 0. So, oh, and by the way, inside the secret, we are using GNARC, and the secret is just a bunch of math formulas and calculations that is going to do. And the GNARC framework has some functions that helps to build the logic inside the secret. But this, it's not.
And for folks that are tuning in, NARC is GNARK. I think it's narc.io, isn't it?
Narc.github.io.
Yeah, I think it's
It's just on GitHub. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in NARC is a tool set for building zero knowledge circuits that Consensus and others have been working on, and it's Apache open source, kind of corporate friendly. Provide uses it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Anybody wants to
it's akin
post?
Socrates.
Anybody wants to post that
It's
link
funny
to the YouTube so people can take a look at it?
Yeah.
It's funny that there's a privacy package called NARC.
It is funny, right? Because it's like you don't want NARC.
It's
NARC.
yeah. It was an accidental.
I think that you really have to put emphasis on the G, so that it's
saying NARC.
yeah. Otherwise it sounds too narky.
Yeah, I asked
GNU.
I asked Tom though, and he's like, it's
NARC.
It's
yeah.
NARC. Yeah,
I can still
NARC.
say GNARC. It's
Yeah.
more fun for me.
Right.
Anyway, so so that's, I just wanted to make sure people were following along, Luis. And the other thing is the net of what you're talking about, right? Is people, if anybody's not really into the code here, you're talking about if you want to enforce these rules, like must be over 0, things like that. If you wanted to do that on a public blockchain, you'd be exposing these rules to public scrutiny. And that might give things about what you're trying to do with each other away, right? The rules, the data is not the only thing you need to keep private. You need to keep the rules sometimes, like if I'm giving you a discount or things like that, or yeah, sometimes the rules can give away as much about what you're trying to do between companies as the data itself. And that's the point of all this, right? So
Yes.
we do these in zero knowledge circuits, which is fancy, but it allows us to use the public infrastructure and enforce correctness of a set of rules without everybody
In a
seeing
private
those
way,
rules
yeah.
at the same time, right?
Quick
that should see
question,
it.
Luis. Can you, and that's my ignorance of Gnar, can't you do like a struct and a struct? Can't you use a struct and a struct? I think you can.
I don't know.
It would be if you
I need
want
a stinger for nerd alert. Like,
Yeah.
No, but
Nerd
it's
alert.
like no, because you have like, you know, signature, you know, you have like 3 signatures, and if you use a struct, a signature struct, you can add as many signatures as you want, and it's only constrained based on the or not, you constrain it based on a parameter that you're passing, and otherwise the circuit's gonna go haywire. But it's like that might
Size
be a way
calculus.
how to, yeah, exactly. That might be a way how to extend the number of signatures, right? So you have an upper size. So but anything from, you know, 1 to n, whatever that n is, that's a fixed number. If you can, then you can relatively easily add that, make that extension, make that more flexible if you define a struct within a struct.
Yes, sure. Yes, I didn't know. I'm going to look into.
Just a thought, just a nerd
Sure.
thought.
No, it's a good suggestion.
It'll be harder than it seems. Look forward to seeing how that works out in this case.
Onward.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
keep
because
going.
it's
Sorry about-
generally speaking important to be able to do that.
Flexibility, absolutely, right?
Right.
Makes
Yeah.
the circuit reusable for more cases, right? Not just where you have 3 counterparties, but you might have 2 or 10 or what have you.
Right on.
Correct.
Luis, I stopped you there because I was getting some comments that folks needed to help following along. So keep going. I just wanted to set some context there.
Okay, and so the first rule that is the secret checks is that the values should be greater than 0. It's a easy one, and then we have to do some strategy here to be able to prove that the smallest quote was the winner quote, the accept quote was the smallest one between the 3 quotes that we had. And like the Gitnark doesn't have a function that you can just check if it's greater or less than or equal a value and compare 2 values. So we had to not just check if they are less or equal, but we had to do some math to do some math and check the value, which one is the smallest one, if the accept quote was the smallest one. Otherwise, we couldn't do that in just one line of code. We had to do some math here with the subtractions and checking if the value was 0 to be able to prove that the winner quote was the smallest one. And then
So you had to do some math. So importantly, you can't really do this work without being on meth. Is that what you're saying? No,
Math,
I'm kidding.
math.
I'm kidding.
Yes, we need to do some
Sorry,
math.
Luis.
No,
I heard math. I was looking up at Kyle. I'm like, is that math? No, math.
Math.
Got it.
No, otherwise you're getting too narky again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
that's definitely narc. Very. That was good, Andreas.
We're having fun today. All right, keep going. Sorry.
And
Narky.
so the first part is just to check if the value is greater than 0, then if the accept quote is the smallest one. And here, if we have a tie, if it's the same value, we are always accepting the first one. The counterparty one always win. And then we are going to work with signatures and hash to make it the value that you send to this circuit is unique for that specific bond. So and then we just the rest of the code is just to work with signatures and hash. So when you build the circuit, the counterparty 1, 2, and 3, I'll go back to the struct. Using what is public, when you finish building the circuit, you are able to, you are going to have the public key from counterparty 1, 2, and 3. So using the public key, you know for sure that the codes that are inside the circuit was signed by counterparty 1, 2, and 3. And with the bond value, we know for sure that it's those code was for this specific bond. And only like if counterparty 1 is the winner code, and he just need to sign his value, the code that he sent with his signature, and send to the secret, and it's going to return. Gnark says that it's passed, but it's going to return true. And the counterparty 2 and 3, for example, if they are not the winner, they are going to send and sign the value that they have and send to the verifying key, and they will get a false return. So counterparty 2 and 3 knows that they are not the winner. They will not be able to know if counterparty, like for example, the counterparty 2 will not be able to know if it was counterparty 1 or 3 that has the winner code, but he knows for sure that he doesn't have the smallest code, and that counterparty 1 and 3 sent their code. So that's what we prove with this bond secret. And we have some tests also. That we have some test case in another file that where we check. Oh, here's just the logic. We have the.
Let's make sure we put up
test case.
the link to all this code. Is this up on, where we got this now? Is this up on the repo?
Yes, on my personal repo.
Well,
on
let's,
GitHub.
yeah, when we're going to want to, can you get this up on Baseline Protocol repo
To share it?
before the end of the day so people can, who are interested can get going on it?
Yes. Would you like me to create a pull request?
Okay, so anybody that's getting excited about this and those of you, the people that will get excited are the right people. Yeah, I know it's a lot of code, but that's what we're here for. Give us till the end of the day, and then you can go to the Baseline Protocol repo. Let's make sure we can check that in and accept it ASAP, and then you'll be able to use it.
Yeah, I'd also love to circle back and talk about how to build and use the circuit in provide privacy in BRI1. I think that'd be another good follow-up discussion and worth the time.
Yeah, I think we tried doing that. Yeah, I think we should schedule something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Boris,
yeah.
Luis, I think we're just punctuating just kind of so when you're going through code, people can kind of lose attention. So we're just punctuating a little bit. Nick, Boris, what is your thought about, like, companies, banks like JP Morgan, other bond companies that are engaged in bonds? I mean, if there's a always on ledger, like, the mainnet and things like Base Ledger, that they can drop these proofs on, just, it's kind of like the banking story we were talking about yesterday, where I need to be sure that a payment went to somebody before I pay somebody. And right now you have to go do a bunch of, you have to rely on something like Platter. You have to go and, do an actual integration in each case, right? I've got to do an API to these guys, and these guys have to API into this bank, and everybody has to have certifications. Be nice to just be able to say, yeah, when I see proof X hit that base ledger, I know that I can pay this person, right? And same thing here, or similar, if I, if this bond can place the proof, I can use that as a parameter into any other business logic around what I want to do as a result of that, right? All under zero knowledge.
Yeah.
Boris, do you see banks and other, who do you see employing that, and how easy would it be?
I mean, one of the, as far as paying, I don't know enough about it in banks. I don't
That's
think there is,
different.
yeah, I don't think so. There is an issue as far as payments, but transparency, especially for certain products and corporate bonds, is what not
Opaque
corporate.
transparency, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No,
it's
no,
transparency, but not
yeah.
everybody can see what's going on.
So picture.
Right. I mean, one reason, like, I think it's the Feds
Privacy.
actually, yeah, they instituted a trace file, and this is just maybe over 10 years that it has been live, because otherwise you had no way to find if a client comes and they want to buy a bond like in bank A and then go to bank B, the price could be like totally different. So transparency is a big deal for like, and that's where I can see could be a huge advantage for the little guys and for the, I mean,
So who would implement this stack?
who would, anyone that wants to buy, sell bonds. It could be like an insurance company, a bank, any organization. It could be a hedge fund. It could be some little guy that has.
Could you pack this up into a little into a package or or server?
Smart contract. So it's just.
Yes. No, yeah, that's yeah.
You load
No,
this.
that's exactly what.
The privacy
yeah,
service.
yeah.
It'll deploy it and it'll generate all the
Yeah, because banks are,
validity code and
folks issuing these things are not going to want to have to understand all this code. They're just going to want to go click and
it works.
be able.
Right. I mean, they will have to, what needs to be sold to them, that they can trust it and they understand what it does,
Mhm.
which is basically some type of like high level documentation. Both sides, basically the sell and the buy side, they'll need to realize that. But that can be, yeah. And then there is a bit of, it's how will banks or the larger, the bigger ones, how will they react to this? But that's
Again,
a different story. Yeah, because I worked for a startup in 2010 that was providing transparency to corporate bonds, specifically corporate bonds and credit derivatives, credit default swaps.
Mhm.
At the end of it, basically, at the end, Bloomberg Board took over the product.
Yeah.
So the startup itself, if someone, actually, it's interesting. It's the product is Benchmark Solutions. If anyone wants to look into it, I mean, the company existed for a couple of years, and then so that's, and it was about transparency. So in a way, this is kind of like very similar, would be, but it's on a broader scale, I think, because that was a specific product that a company was trying to provide transparency. Here, if you can put it up on a blockchain, it's a totally different ball game.
Transparency without things like front running and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be interesting
Right.
what is the thing that stops all these POCs? Oh yeah, this is great. It's transparent, but front running and everybody knows what they shouldn't be knowing. Transparency really is, we got to find a better word.
Maybe there should be a better word. Yeah. But it's a known thing for certain products. It's just you have to use different sources to actually find out what's going on.
Okay, very good.
Or so I would presume that there's quite a bit of dispute claims that JP Morgan and these type of institutional organizations are having to work through. Have you seen kind of from the JPM lens some of the challenges and overhead from a dispute claim perspective?
I honestly, I don't know enough about that. That's kind of like in the back end. I think a lot of products are based on very thoroughly documented processes, which I'm not very familiar with. I don't know. There could be dispute. What I know about disputes, it's when during defaults there are disputes, but they usually go to I mean, courts or things like that.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
it's actually
Yeah.
avoiding the dispute. We did a project years ago on that.
Right, right.
It wasn't that
Yeah.
you actually handled the disputes. It was that they didn't actually occur.
Right, yeah, exactly. So during like 2008, there were obviously a lot of disputes, but this was all kind of handled by lawyers on the two sides of the three sides of the firms. So,
right.
but yeah,
There's certainly a number of different values as part of what we're doing from a baselining perspective, but in the conversations that we've had with ServiceNow, the reduction in claims disputes is top of mind
Mhm.
from the organizational perspective.
Mhm. Yeah.
All the way up to senior leadership. The CEO of ServiceNow has talked about how much they're working to try to reduce claims disputes internal to their organization. And this just adds like a whole nother level of value to doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. Disputes are expensive.
So
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
mindful of time.
Before we move on, I got a
yeah,
quick,
please
quick
go ahead.
question. Just listening to that conversation, it made me question, what do you call it when John Wolpert, Andreas Freund, and Nick Kritikos talk about zero knowledge?
What?
Jurassic narcs.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry. All right, move
Oh,
on.
that's awesome. I love that.
You know, the value of that one is that it makes me so much more relaxed that I can pull like 6 bad jokes
Yeah.
and I'm still better than that. No,
I am a father.
fathers.
What's
are-
the
we
what's
get-
the
yeah,
T-Rex
that's right, we
circuit?
get special joke dispensation.
I heard the other day someone said, you know what? I have zero knowledge about zero knowledge.
Oh, even worse.
And I was like, that's kind of funny.
Moving right along.
Well, look, for folks that are out there that are Cody entrepreneurs, pay attention to this. Go back over this because this is a real opportunity, and it's open source, public domain code.
Yeah.
So you could grab it and create the easy button for for bonds organizations, insurance providers to do this. And fairly soon you'll be able to do that and get it onto a public a public good network that where you don't have to stand that up either or
Yeah, it's coming.
incur gas costs or stuff like that. So
Indeed.
very good.
Awesome.
Do we have more on the code side? We kind of got off.
I have a joke about zero knowledge if I can go.
Oh yeah, go for it. Oh yeah, man. Let's just jump
So,
right in.
someone's
We've
already
set a
left?
very
So-
low bar.
Someone already left.
Yeah, so I have a joke about zero knowledge, but I can't tell that to you.
Oh,
Dun-dun-dun. But it's funny.
That was pretty good, actually.
but I can prove to you that it's funny.
But I can prove to you it is funny. Yeah. And the proof
No.
is on the blockchain.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you should
Anyway.
have stopped it. We're-
Sorry. I opened a
Now
can
we've
of worms.
officially gone too far.
Pandora's box.
All right.
Move on.
Moving on. All right. So, team, are you guys are good to stop there? The people sufficiently excited, or do you have more wonderfulness to describe? Boris and team.
I think I'm fine. I'm not sure if Louis, if you want to add something.
No, I'm fine. Also.
We have a whole we have a automated suite for that. I think that's a good thing.
The
We
test
kind of
suite.
like test suite for the circuit, and we are looking to extend it. So it's kind of like it's small, but it's doing its job.
I think if we went through all of that, it would probably take down the rest of the meeting. So
Yeah, no. I just wanted to mention it, and I think it's a good point that Andreas mentioned about, like, I know he brought it. This is the second time. It makes total sense that we should have multiple, like many counterparties, because that will allow us to extend definitely the functionality. So that was, yeah. Thank you.
Let's meet
Thank
about it.
you. Yeah.
Let's meet about it soon.
yeah, this is exciting. Well
Great
done.
work.
And I think the grant is already part of it has already gone in payment to you guys. So
Yes.
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Keep going. We have actually nearly allocated nearly all of the initial grant money. We'll be raising more. I think people generally feel like the grant program was successful, although I think we can learn how to do it even more efficiently going forward. We were a little slow on some of these allocations. As the TSC members, we got to get a better voting system, but in general, I'm pleased with the projects that have been coming out of it so far. With that, let's turn quickly to a couple of PSAs. One of them, which is very important, maybe Kyle and Jack, you guys can do the honors. Let's talk about ETH Atlanta before we move on to other things. Just to get that in, ETH Atlanta, ETH L dot what?
.com, I believe.
.com?
Yep.
ETHATL.com.
ETHATL.com. There's going to be a lot of stuff. You're not going to want to miss that event. It'll be both
great.
online and you want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go ahead
Sure.
and talk about it.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of amazing speakers, that have confirmed, and we'll be releasing the agenda probably early next week. It's going to be sort of in the spirit of ETH Denver. There will be a hackathon that kicks off on Friday at around noon and runs all weekend until Sunday at noon, when judging of the projects and bounties will go out, or will happen. The Unibright guys, even with the COVID travel restrictions, have found a cool way to participate and contribute to the event, of course. And so there's going to be some panel that they run prior to the start of the event here in Atlanta, and they'll do that on EU time. And then folks in the EU, developers in the EU, will also be able to participate in the hackathon all weekend and be eligible to win bounties as well. So there's going to be hundreds of developers at this thing.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting, and they'll be able to actually get their hands on stuff and start being
Base Ledger, the Provide Stack,
Mark your calendar.
testnet, right? That's
Yeah,
testnet.
that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Mark your calendar, go to the website, hit the reg link, make sure you register your interest and get involved. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
We'll see what we call the test net. I think it's the
TED.
train stations in ETH world, you have like Coven and all. So maybe it's like the Base Ledger MARTA test net.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
It's just an idea, but
Nice.
we'll see.
And traditionally, a lot of big Atlanta companies, real, not blockchain, simply blockchain companies, but logistics firms and beverage companies and other kinds of companies have there's a lot of business in Atlanta.
Airlines,
We could probably
hospitality.
focus on Atlanta from a baseline perspective, and we would that's a target-rich environment of companies that could benefit from baselining.
Absolutely. And then
It's the logistics hub of America.
yeah, it was crazy to the
The
turnout.
US.
It was crazy. Yeah, sure. It was crazy the turnout, I think, from 2018 when we did the first event here. And a lot of that was during a pretty dark period in the cycles of
2018.
2018, yeah. And so
Winter.
the turnout, it was definitely the winter there.
Cold winter.
Yeah, it was chilly.
Winter's when work gets done.
So that
I'm in, bro.
at any rate, it seems like the appetites have have obviously changed quite a bit at this point, and the event's going to be reflective of that.
All right. Well, that's our PSA for ETH Atlanta. So we'll be back here. Our team and others will be back here in
At least.
Atlanta again in 6 or 8 weeks, I guess.
Give or
Is that-
take.
Yeah.
Give or take.
All right. Moving on to the next
Register
subject.
early, register often. Go ahead.
Another PSA is Technical Steering Committee of the Baseline Protocol, our esteemed 11-member board of decision makers who are elected entirely and only from contributors to the Baseline Protocol repo, Baseline, which you can find on GitHub, will be elected in September. So if you want to take the chairmanship from me, I'll give you a run for your money, but I'd be very glad to see nominees for that. And there will be 11 positions up for grabs. And if you haven't, all you need to do to be a voter is have a successful pull request into the repo. That's all you have to do. Doesn't have to be a big contribution. Could be something more than this, maybe, a good spell check, as long as it's
Docs need work. Yeah. all
as long
kinds
as
of
it's
stuff.
not frivolous, that something that we wouldn't check in. As long as it's check-inable, you get to vote. So really strongly encourage everyone to go and look at the docs, maybe improve a sentence in a doc. That would be enough. Obviously, even better is get into the code, contribute to the code, get on Slack, talk to people, and make a contribution. There's now even some of the biggest open source initiatives are, most of the code is written by a small group of people. But that the many people that contribute here and there are vital to a good open source community. So don't feel like you have to know everything. Get in there. It's kind of like a craps table. If you're into Vegas, all you have to know is how to put one chip on one spot and you can play. You don't have to know everything.
Well, I've got
I
a
don't know
question
that
about
was
that.
the best.
I've got a
analogy.
question about that, John, real quick. And quite frankly, I think it's probably moot anyway, but we're still accepting grant requests through GitHub, right?
We are.
So if you've submitted a grant request, are you eligible to vote? Although,
Oh gosh, that's a really good thought.
Technically, people that are
Technically, it's only the baseline main repo,
right. Okay.
but I don't know that we'd require a rule change to include folks that
Well,
do grants.
If you, obviously, if you get a grant and you're doing the work, that's going to
That's
end up
gonna-
in the repo.
yeah,
That's
that-
going to be there. I was just wondering if okay, cool.
I'll check with the board and see if we can include those who have submitted grant requests, because they're certainly contributing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll double check on that and let you know.
All right.
Okay, so that was our second PSA. I think those are the two main ones I had. So now we can move on to Kyle and Jack, and then Andreas. We won't miss you at the end. So
Yeah, I don't really have anything specific at this point. I mean, beyond what we've talked
The
about so far.
PSAs, right?
What are we going to talk about?
It's on
you
your
got,
mind,
you got
Jack.
any updates to the work on the provide stack of baseline protocol? I know that there are announcements in the future, but is there anything what people might want to know about in terms of how the work's going? And
Yeah, sure. So there's a branch called BRI1 Privacy, and Lucas Rodriguez has been working with the team on it. It features like a pretty release worthy set of the stack of version of the provide stack. We're looking at auditing the stack so that we can rev the version to a 1.0 release of the stack. That's a pretty notable thing. We've got some really amazing integration work that's happening at what's starting to become a pretty furious pace in the enterprise. So on the enterprise and the adoption side, pretty complicated, or really traditional, but time consuming, enterprise integration, where you have middlewares, coming in and out, or going in and out of environments that, we're starting to see that become really firmed up. And so, adoption of this tech is happening, and it's very exciting and humbling at the same time to see where we're at today.
right on.
It's really been fantastic to watch. You guys have done a great job.
Yeah, once we got to open up the hood and we're like, hey, there's an engine in there.
Yeah.
Hey, there's pistons. They actually work.
It's a V12.
It's not just Kyle waving his hands. It actually
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a V12 in there.
Yeah, we often talk about how a lot of this work has been ongoing, kind of behind the scenes, and it's not just us talking. Really, it's
Yeah.
actually being built, and so we're getting so much more excited about being able to unveil this. I think a lot of the unveiling and the ability to build on these type of systems
And making them
will
open too.
really be felt and present come Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think the
absolutely.
showcasing of a number of the tracks that we show from a baselining of systems of record, from an SAP perspective to Salesforce, Microsoft. I mean, I think encompassing a number of these largest technology platforms.
The
is
easy button
proof
for
in the
baseliner
pudding.
too.
Yeah, it's proof in the pudding of the demonstration that these enterprise ecosystems are building it, and they have trust that they seek to be able to enable their ecosystems and their users of this as well.
Mapping them into the network. It's
SAP
awesome.
certification process, all that. I think there'll be some really exciting announcements about that.
Hey, speaking of which, announcement, now you're going to let everybody know in the coming weeks when people can kind of pre-start and get access to the stack and open source and all that stuff, and the code and pre-test, test nets and all that stuff, right? So so developers that want to go and be in the hackathon will be able to start their engines before the October 1st. So keep your eyes on this space. Ideally go to baseline-protocol.org and get on the Slack, and just make sure you got your eyes peeled, because there will be an announcement before the October 1st date
Mhm.
for getting access to the stuff that you can start working on, right?
I'd also be willing to bet that if you went to ethatlanta.com and registered,
Yeah, you'll be
that you
among
would
the first
probably
to
be
know.
among the first people to hear the announcements
Yeah,
or
but
get
then
them
they
directly to
wouldn't-
your inbox.
But then they wouldn't get on a Slack channel. That we
Don't do
wanted
that too. 'cause-
Okay, do all that
all
Do
good.
both, do both.
Yeah, so
And hit the subscribe button,
Smash
the
that like
Smash that
button,
like.
turn that subscribe button.
I'm never going to be good at that
Yeah.
that line.
We're
I'm
going
just
full
never gonna-
YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sounds like your dad saying it. Right? It's like,
Oh, really?
I'm hip. I'm with it. Yeah. Okay. So that's great, guys.
John, you just became a YouTube, a TikTok meme.
I know, that was awesome. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Jurassic nerd.
Jurassic nerd. So let's see
He's
what's
hip,
next.
he's with it.
All
Andreas,
right. Well, speaking of somebody who's hip and worth it, Andreas Freund, you want to do your best Dr. Evil impression? That actually, you probably do it pretty well. Is my blockchain evil?
oh, we're gonna get
I
a lot
am
of
very evil. I am very evil.
If we had nicknames, you
That's
get
that's
like-
another immediate TikTok meme that is gonna go viral.
Doesn't Freund mean friend? So he's like Dr. Friend,
Yes.
not Dr.
Good
Evil.
friend.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
sounds like
it's
a
a-
really evil name. I mean, like if I
An
wanted to
evil
make a
friend?
Dr.
Evil
Friend,
friend?
Scotty, don't.
All right. Anyway,
Let's
we're
go.
running out
Sorry.
of time. Sorry,
All right.
Andreas.
No. It's all good. So, couple of things. Number one, as I said already, check out
I
gotta cut the audio
Sorry.
from this room here for a
You guys
second.
are
We're
just as guilty.
cutting it.
all right. Check out the proposals for incorporating an Ethereum-based DIT method called DIT element into BRI1. There are two new companies to the ecosystem, Transmute, who has done a lot of work in the decentralized identity space for years, as well as a newcomer to the space, Spruce ID, who's going to do the actual integration of DIT element. So there are two things. DIT element needs to be upgraded to a spec, the site tree spec. Why DIT element? Because DIT element is not only Ethereum based, but it's scalable, which means you can
Yes.
generate tens of thousands of DIDs a second if you want to. And that is really, really relevant when we're talking about future mobility, not future, very soon mobility and IoT use cases, including for baseline. Because once you're talking about supply chain, you're talking about supply chain provenance, and especially across, from the very beginning of the supply chain until delivery to the end consumer, there are a lot of sensors, a lot of DIDs that are going to come in. That's why 2022 is going to be the year of the DID. So
I connected with Ori actually after that last call we had around that proposal. And it became clear to me that what we've put together in BRI1, it looks, and it's sort of, I mean, it's a bad analogy, but it sort of quacks like it did, enough so to where we can very quickly enable it to conform to the
DIT core,
the standard, the diff standard, and then
W3C standard.
Yeah, that's right. The W3, but exactly. So then, but that's a quick win, and then I think it's the adoption of the element stuff is a logical next step.
I tell you what I want to see. I mean, just from a user perspective, what 2022 I think is going to bring us thereafter is you're in whatever you're in, QuickBooks or whatever. You start typing in Coca-Cola, and you get kind of that autocomplete experience, but in a much more verified and universal way, right? The universal phone book, without having to be centralized, right? Because it's all resolvable. It can be, the DIDs can be
Verified,
wherever they want.
It's in BRI1 today, and it turns out that we're going to be able to leverage what we built with just a few. We just need to create a resolver essentially in BRI1 to enable that current pattern that we have to be compliant with the standard. And then the next step is Element for it. So
And there's great tools coming out like Certo, where, it's kind of like Google for DIDs, right? They're crawling for DIDs and be able to pre-populate those in your UI. So I think that, yeah, man, I think 2022 is going to be a big year.
Right.
that.
So
Yeah.
another
All open to
another important, not important, but like update is that we're about to merge the last PR for the baseline protocol standard, and then we have everything complete from core to the CCSM, and just the APIs just need to be then wrapped up. Also, there is sort of like another PSA. If you are involved in or interested in layer 2, the Ethereum Foundation is working on creating a working group, standards working group within the EA Oasis community project to create a layer 2 standard, copying a lot of from the baseline protocol. And we're currently starting an outreach program to not only the layer 2 stacks who are insanely busy and really not paying attention at the moment, but very soon will. So we're trying to bring not the ones, but the VCs that actually invested in them to the table, as well as enterprises, in order to get really serious about organizing the space, because layer 2 is the way forward. And
Nice.
right, so there's also one last thing that everybody should pay attention to, is actually tomorrow is the big day. The Berlin hard fork is coming, which means EIP 1559, which means we have gas auctions. And this is going to be a real great experiment to see what happens to miner extractable value. These auctions are going to be giving us an empirical hint to how bad it will be and how bad these auctions are going to be manipulated, because they will, because people can, because of total value locked concentration in the ecosystem.
So
There's going to be money to be made.
We've got a echo somewhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that is exciting as part of that effort. We're also going to look at zero MEV as a goal for Ethereum going forward, to how can we reduce miner extractable value to 0, because that's important for baseline too. If you're on Ethereum, because if your transactions never ever going to make it onto the chain because it's sitting in the mempool and not getting included in any block, guess what?
If you're using something like
So lonely.
a base ledger, you've got you don't have to worry about price fluctuations, because as I understand it now, is this public? Yeah, that this is a very important thing to know about this kind of pattern. Base ledger being the first of this kind of pattern, where you have kind of an L2 for baselining those proofs, and those you don't have, if you're paying IT costs, you don't want the cost of any kind of token to going up or down to change the price of your IT stack. And the way this works, as I understand it now, that stays stable. So it'll, and I guess governance will allow you to the per opcode pricing to go up and down, but in a predictable and sane sort of way, not in a not based on something mooning or whatever those.
Then you do your roll up, your ZK roll up, and then your ZK roll up to layer 1. So there's
and that's where the what Andreas was talking about with the new update will reduce the costs for the base things like base ledger, pushing those anchors to the L1.
Yeah.
Right. But
It's
the
costs
average
less
user
to-
won't have to worry about
it
it.
costs a lot less to get to scale, to real scale, in that sense. Yeah.
Really cool. Hey, we're out of time. I'd be fading the music in at this point, but we don't have any here from Atlanta. So everybody, any last words from anybody?
Thanks, everybody. This is my first trip out of the office in like 18 months. And it's just, I'm so giddy with excitement being in the same room with real people. I
I'm
know that's super
terrified. I
nerdy.
I don't even know what to do with all these people around me. I'm scared.
It's been a fun time.
All right.
Can't wait to meme that stuff, John. That's going to be hilarious.
Yeah. I was young and vital and now I'm old and scared.
It's been a pleasure hanging here this week with the consensus votes.
Yeah, you too, Jack.
Thanks for the
All right.
hospitality.
Absolutely.
Everybody, thanks a lot.
Thanks,
We'll see you
everyone. Have a
soon.
great week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Okay.